Hey there, friends. This time you're talking to Bill, the on sense math doctor, using, if I can get this right, the five senses of seeing, saying, hearing, and listening, using your nose for pointing to the problems and to sniff out the keywords and numbers that you need to think in your brain. What strategies or what kinesthetic activities have I been taught to be able to apply this problem? This question that we're going to look at is based on and derived from a difficult fifth grade level question involving subtraction, knowing how to convert a mixed number to an improper fraction, and then get the same denominators so that you can subtract or add fractions, then converting the answer that you get when you subtract back to a mixed number using two things to get the mixed number to an improper fraction. We're going to use the state that I'm from, TX, as in Texas, but also as in addition with the top numbers and multiplication with the bottom numbers. So T as in Texas, add, X as in Texas, multiply, and then we're going to learn the clock method. So this will help you that had students who struggled or are struggling this year with questions involving subtraction, mixed numbers, fractions, improper fractions. So right away, if we look at the question instead of the problem, it says how many gallons of gas did, and I made a mistake. I'm noticing my errors after them already posting them. Dr. Jimenez have left after his trip to the store. So if I'm teaching reading and I'm also teaching math, I would say capital, how many gallons, plural, of gas did, past tense, capital Dr. period title, capital Jimenez last name, have left after his trip to the store, question mark. So I would draw a picture because it does say in the problem that I have 7 and 7 and bouncing my imaginary ball on the floor, separating the whole number from the fraction, 1/2 gallons of gas when I leave my house. I use 3/4 of a gallon to drive to the store and back to get some groceries. So how much do I have left? Well, since you have a mixed number and your mixed number 1/2 is smaller than 3/4, we don't have a same denominator. Here's what I recommend. Let's first do the Texas method of multiplying the bottom two numbers, 7 times 2, 14, and adding the top number, 15 halves, and that way we can get both to be fractions. But since we still don't have a similar denominator, we have to do the multiplication property of equality, where let's multiply the top number times 2, the numerator, the dividend, times 2, 30, and the divisor, the denominator, times 2, 4. So now we have 30/4 is what we had when we started. We take away the 3/4 that we used going to and from the store, which leaves us with 27/4. Since that is not there, then you just have to switch back to a mixed number using an improper fraction to divide, because it means 27 divided into 4 equal parts. So we'll do what I call the must-read method. We'll multiply something until we get to 27 or less, which would be our answer. So what we multiply goes on the top, our answer goes on the bottom. Then we would subtract to see what our remainder is. And then we would either drop and go back to the top, or we'll be done. So here's our 27 in the dividend. The dividend goes in, the divisor comes out, divided by 4. And so what you multiply goes on the top, 4 times something until you get to 27 or higher. And so there is 4 times 7 is 28. So once you pass it and you prove that you can't divide into a higher number than the number you have inside the box, then you back up 1. What you multiply 6 goes on the top. Your answer 24 goes on the bottom. Then you subtract to get a remainder of 3. And you're either going to drop or you'll be done. We are done, but a lot of kids struggle with how to read this whole number and fractions. So if you tell your kids to think of this number as the whole number, that's where you start. You always start with the whole number. And then think of a clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So our answer would be 6 and 3/4, which is letter C over here. Your answer choices: 6 whole gallons and 3/4, 75 hundredths, because if you divide $1 into 4 parts, you get 4 quarters, and 3/4 would be 75. So 75 hundredths of a gallon, if I want to go above and beyond what's being asked. And so my number and keywords were 7.5 gallons when I started. When I left the house, 3/4 of a gallon to go over and back. And so always remember that sometimes with reading, the acronym ARMS, actors remember more story sequence, or artists remember more story problems, the sequence of the problem. So if you just draw a picture by either acting this out, or as we did here, drawing a picture, it kind of helps you see what's being asked and be able to take it from there. So as you can see, this came from the 2021 test for 5th grade. It was readiness. So that means that 6th graders went to school, the majority of whom did not know how to use mixed and improper fractions and find the difference, how much left you subtract, because how many left is the same thing as how much left. So how much left you subtract. So we know somewhere in here we're going to have to subtract what we had when we started and what we used to find out how much is left. So in this case, it would be letter C. So in summary, for this one, you have to A, know how to use the Texas method, TX method, adding and multiplying to change a mixed number to improper fraction, where it's improper for the taller, the bigger number to be on the top, to use the multiplication property of equality to make sure that you have the same denominator so that you can add or subtract. Then since you still have a an improper fraction and it wasn't listed as one of the answer choices, you have to do the clock method and mass read, multiply, put your answer, subtract, find your remainder, and drop or done to be able to come up with the answer 6 and 3/4 gallons were left once he got back to his house with his vehicle. So then you could extend beyond and say, okay, well, if the car gets 30 miles to the gallon and I only used 3/4 of a gallon, well, that means that I would have gone almost 30 miles. And so if you kind of make it simple and say, okay, well, let's say he had 40 miles to go to the store and he gets 30 miles to the gallon. Just kind of help your kids do the math, since I used 3/4 of a gallon. If I get 30 miles to the gallon or 40 miles to the gallon and I use 3/4, then that means that it would have been a 30-mile trip because I used 3/4 of a gallon to go the 40 miles. I think I'm doing the math right. I'm just doing this in my head, kind of impromptu thinking how to extend beyond the problem. But be sure to like the math video. Follow me on Common Sense Math in my math club. If you have friends who are not social media fans, you can click the link while you're in YouTube and copy that link and paste it to one of your math friends who are working with mixed numbers, fractions, improper fractions, division. This question had 3 or 4 steps depending on how your kids approached it. And that's probably more than likely the reason why only 41% of the kids in Texas got the one that was like it correct. This is the 5th grade math surgery for 2021. I've already done the 3rd and the 4th for both 2019 and 2021 in open-ended and multiple choice formats. For this 5th grade, I've already done the 2019 separately, and now this is the 2021 separately. So feel free to message me or put in the comment section what grade of math you teach, and I can send you a link to the math surgery for your grade level from 3rd through 7th grade. I try not to mess with 8th and 9th grade too much because we have to rely more heavily on a calculator, and I prefer to stick with the math where we can use paper and pencil for computations. So I look forward to working with you and your colleagues or with your students while you observe at any math training soon. I have a math minor. It's just that when the TOS test changed to tax and tax changed to STAR, the writing scores dropped much faster than the reading and math, because in those grade levels, in all grade levels, you're getting reading and math. Well, since now all grade levels you're going to be getting writing, there's going to be a lot of teachers who have no experience with writing short constructed responses and open-ended responses that are short answer. What's the answer to the question? And show me from the problem, justify your answer, telling me what numbers that you use and what operations that you use. And so to prepare you for next year, several of my math problems will be having the short constructed response type questions along with the short answers that will be worth 2 points in math. So just something to think about. Hopefully we'll see you at a summer training or one in the fall at your school. The way you do it is you email me at writing__doctor@yahoo.com, and I send you a quote to your campus directors or principals. They send that quote to the purchasing department at your district, where they can make a request called a requisition. Then they turn that requisition into a purchase order, and I turn right around and send an invoice based on that purchase order. And then I get to come and work with you or with your students while you observe. And as always, whenever I do a teacher or a student training, I give the teacher or teachers who were the ones who got me to their campus or district $100 per day as a finder's fee once they get paid, just as a way of thanking you or blessing you or sharing my strategies or my name with your campus. You just have to have no control over money, how it's spent with your campus or district, and I'm able to help you that way. That's completely legal as long as you have no control over the money. You can't be on a campus decision-making committee or anything like that who decides who comes and helps you and how you spend your money. So just something to think about. I'd love to see you and your students, or you and your colleagues, especially as we transition to the new math type questions, as well as social studies and science next year. Take care and God bless.